We got a lot in common. We laugh, we cry, we have lots of options, but there's healing when we just start talking. There's healing when we just start talking. Don't be afraid. Start off your day with the Leslie T. Marshall Experience.
So the Bible tells us that there is safety in the multitude of counselors. And I see it in life. I see it with people, relationship, friendships. It's something about having a mentor and somebody that you can talk to. They don't always have to be older than you. Sometimes they could be your age. They just have wisdom on a subject that you may be experiencing. Is there someone you go to, friends that you talk to, to help you? Maybe you're having a day you can't talk to him about it. Do you have any counselors, mentors, anybody that you go to?
I do. Believe it or not, I go to my sister on quite a few things. Nice. Because she always gives sound advice. She isn't married, but she never gives me the single woman, if you would, advice. Like, she will get me to see his side, break it down a little bit different for me so that I can see his side. Or if I am right, she'll say it, but she'll definitely say when I'm wrong. I also have another friend who was married for, like 20-something years.
That's your friend.
Yeah.
I love y'all.
My other friend, she was married for, I wanted, definitely like 20 years. And she, is another one that's going to give me sound advice and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe you should look at it like this. Maybe you should not have done that. I didn't do this and I wish that I did, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have an older friend, my brother Kamel. I go to him. Very, very good advice, very sound advice. Your brother, I go to him. I try to stick with married couples, somebody that's been through it all, somebody that's been through it, or has been who has been married or been in a long-term relationship. And we've actually done counseling. We've been to every type of counseling.
That's smart.
Sex counseling.
That's smart.
Marriage counseling, premarital counseling, everything. So, yeah.
I think that's smart. And I hear a lot of men, when Steve Harvey came out with his book, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, I heard a lot of men getting really angry, like, oh, what is he talking about? He's been through 2 or 3 marriages. Again, one of my favorite saying is, there's healing and exposure.
Definitely.
So I believe that Steve Harvey knows what he's talking about on a lot of subjects, because I don't want to hear from anybody who's never been through anything. I want to hear from somebody, sis, tell me, how was this? You bought this house, how was it? You had this marriage, a failed marriage, a successful marriage. That's who I want to hear from. So let's have some fun before we get out of here. Who's the first to apologize?
Come on, that's
what?
Close. He never
apologized. You apologize? You say the words, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I say my fault.
That's an apology.
Yes, that's my apology.
It's not.
See, we learn that in therapy. You have to accept the apology that I give.
What? So if I say, I'm sorry you felt that way, would you accept that apology?
That's not an apology.
Oh, because you said it's not an apology.
That's not an apology.
You said it's not. Anyway.
You're just saying, I'm sorry I felt that way. That's not an apology.
Welcome to Marriage 101, the truth. So how do you guys keep the spark going? I heard you say you've been to counseling, and it's so good to hear a black man, say that he goes to counseling. I go to therapy as well.
I initiate the therapy.
I love it because so many men, they're not vulnerable enough to say, you know what, there's somebody out there that has the answers that I don't have. Right, and so many people feel like, I'm not going to therapy. They rather have a divorce. They rather leave their children. They rather sleep around with other women. I know some people that go to therapy and lie to the therapist. It's like, what's the point in going to therapy and you're not even honest with your therapist? Right. That you're really lying to yourself.
Right.
So I want to commend you and say thank you. And I hope that somebody out there listening will know it's nothing wrong with going to therapy. We have other races that go every other day, like it's clockwork, and we feel that it's a shame. So I think it's wonderful. Even marriage, premarital counseling, and everybody's not able to counsel you. That's where you get some wisdom, find the right person that you could talk to, somebody you trust, somebody confidential who can guide you and lead you in the right way. But I think that's what made you say, let's go to counseling?
Because I felt like I needed a third party. involved. Because, like, you know, the way we are, I don't feel like we're supposed to get along. Like, I'm very outspoken. She's very defensive.
Right.
That right there is a recipe for a disaster.
Right.
But, so sometimes, like, you know, we're trying... Well, I'm right. Oh, no, I'm right. So sometimes we need a third party, a moderator,
Right.
if you will, to just kind of like be in there just... Well, it makes me listen.
Right.
Not just wait for her to finish and rebuttal. So that's one of the things I learned in there. I just wanted a third party in there.
I love it. One thing I do know about you guys, you have a lot of businesses going on. So tell the people about your different businesses, what you do, and how they can get in touch with you to get some of this beautiful apparel.
I know it's ain't over though.
No,
Right,
stop!
make sure.
So we do have quite a bit of businesses together. I have a nonprofit organization, the Don't Forget Me, the Francis Canty Foundation. He is the vice president of that foundation alongside me, and that foundation is to motivate and empower young teen moms to be the best that they can be, right? Then we have the clothing line, Bayfits Collection. Oh, God.
The wine kicking
Wine
in.
is kicking in. Bayfits Collection. That's a couples clothing brand that we started.
Nice.
It's also for singles.
Yeah, we do have single items that aren't necessarily coupled items.
Okay.
But the majority of the items are coupled. Let me go back a bit. He's also starting a subdivision of Don't Forget Me. It's called Father Figures.
Nice.
That's where he will be focusing on, him and his team will be focusing on teen dads.
Nice.
And kind of preparing them for the real world and kind of trying to bridge the gap between, you know, the moms and the dads. I have a podcast that I am going to bring back at some point. It's...
Where's your podcast on? I mean, because I can't talk, so you can say
Well,
everything. No, you just say everything. Go
Okay,
ahead.
you know what?
Where's your podcast on?
I didn't even finish because you cut me off. So I have a podcast, What They Don't Tell You. It is on his internet radio station called We Say What They Can't Radio. That podcast is also about marriage and it's called What They Don't Tell You. So it's about all the things that no one tells you before you say I do.
Which is very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
And then I also have I'm almost done.
Take your time.
I also have a new clothing line called CEO Lifestyle.
Nice.
And that's really for the working mom, the entrepreneur mom, the, entrepreneur wife, just balancing it all.
I love it.
Well, you said it all. I'm actually rocking my son's clothing line right now, A New Life Gospel.
Oh.
Shout out to Bishop Ryan Goss. And my daughter has a clothing line, Future Shio.
Oh, I love it.
What else we missing? We missing, the Airbnb.
Oh.
Airbnb,
Yes.
we have,
It's beautiful. I saw the pictures.
LCs, all type of stuff. We just, Ghost Consulting,
Yeah.
all type of things. Thank you. That.
So with all of this going on, how do you guys balance and find time to prioritize one another? How do you get that in there? Because you're ripping and running, she's ripping and running, trying to get the businesses off the ground. And I'm sure there's a lot of couples out there. They have so much going on here, there, everywhere. It's kiss, hug, out the door.
No, it's tough. It's tough. It's challenging. And sometimes we struggle. We come up short, even in the intimacy department. Because like we said, we're running. We got to run this business, run that business, still do the 9-to-5 thing. And sometimes it's like, oh, you look up and it's been 4 weeks.
Stop lying. Go ahead. I'm joking.
I'm not lying.
Go ahead.
Told you we had sex therapy before too.
Go ahead.
Nah, I'm not lying.
Carry on.
This is my point. Yeah, so no, it's a struggle. But again, what brings everything back is the friendship. So I can sit down and talk to, hey, look, it's been 6 weeks. The time, the clock is ticking.
This one from 4 to 6. I know it's gonna be.
He's
Next it's
dropping
gonna
his.
be
Don't
8, and
don't
that's
worry.
gonna be 12.
We're gonna get out of here soon because he's dropping his. Tonight is the night. The wine is working.
Stop
The wine
it,
is
stop
working.
it, stop.
question out really quick. We have to know, how did things change when you had a child?
It definitely just wasn't about us anymore.
Correct.
We definitely wanted to make sure Christian had everything that he needed, and I don't know, that we could provide.
I think it just made us a stronger team because now it's like a team effort. It's no longer just kind of us can be a little selfish sometimes. We have to come together sometimes and make sure it's for the best of things.
So how did you guys still find time to be together? Because I know you're dealing with a child now, and then you used to date. And I've heard men say they've gotten jealous when the wife had to be breastfeeding or always dealing with the child. He's not getting any attention. It sounds like a big baby, but I've heard men complain like, she's not paying me any attention. It's just about her. I mean, they even make some funny TikToks about it. So how did you adapt? I know you're not a selfish man, but how did you guys adapt? And who's the babysitter? Who's the go-to babysitter?
Mom.
We have a few different babies. That's the one thing about
babysitter.
we know you have a babysitter.
No, you're not a babysitter.
We have a big family on both sides, so they help out a lot. They definitely do help out a lot.
Yo, you know what I didn't know? I didn't realize, again, I didn't grow up in a married home. Where, I grew up in a broken home. So when I proposed to her, and when she, I wouldn't say demanded that I propose to her or
Don't do
threatened
that.
it. Nah.
Don't you dare do that.
Like she, what you call it? A biological clock is ticking and all this other stuff. Like, oh, Steph, all right, you know what? Let's get engaged. I didn't know immediately that you had to plan a wedding. And she got mad at. We was engaged for what, 3 years?
We was engaged for 3 years. It felt like 10.
She gave me hell. She put me through so much drama, and I'm like, I didn't know. No one taught me that, hey, when you get married, you have to prepare, you have to plan a wedding. I just wanted her to know, because all you ever said to me was, show me that you want to marry me.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
So I gave you what you wanted.
See, here's the thing. When it comes to, because, as women, you're taught you should get married, right? But by a certain age, you should get married and stuff like that. And my mom was married. My parents were married. And stuff like that. So if my grandparents were married, so this was not something new to me. So I equated marriage with love. I felt like if a man really loves you, period, because if man, woman, doesn't matter. If a person really loves you, then they'll want to marry you.
My parents were married, so, but it was a different type of thing. But that's how you grew up. But respect that I didn't know. Like, who was going to teach me, hey, this is what you're supposed to do? I don't have that conversation with nobody.
Right. Well.
But can you say sorry? Because you gave me hell and I didn't know. For something I didn't know. Can you say sorry? It's on camera. Just say sorry.
I don't know if I want to say sorry. You know what? I apologize.
For?
Okay, I said I apologize. We already know what we know what I'm apologizing for because I've already.
But I do have to ask you this. Please give a young lady that's thinking about marriage, or maybe someone that is in marriage, some advice or some words of wisdom, what you would say to somebody who's thinking about marriage and something you've learned along the way.
So I would say it's not easy. It is probably one of the hardest things that you do because everything is great up until you say I do, right? I mean, you have your problems, whatever, but doesn't change anything. It doesn't fix anything. In fact, it may enhance, things that are happening. But if you really love that person and you know that this person is worth it, right? Just work at it. Work at it. Communicate, pray. For me, that was a huge thing. You pray, and God will fix it. But keep God first and just work at it. And keep the friendship. Before you get married, before you decide, you have to be friends first. Don't try to get married and then say, oh, well, we're going to be friends later. No. You need to be friends well before you get married because that, again, will sustain your relationship.
So what advice would you give someone out there that needs to hear?
How much time I got?
You go ahead and give it to them. Close us out, brother.
Well, first, I would tell them, for the most part, when you say I do, when guys get married, we want the woman to stay exactly. This is how we met him when he was boyfriend. It's not gonna be that way. And then they have expectations. They want us to evolve,
Right.
like immediately. So I just say, just know things is not gonna stay the same. And also, I like to tell them, maintain a friendship. Always have that friendship to rely on. And be cool with their friends also. You gotta be cool because the friends ain't going nowhere. So you gotta find a way to get cool with them because sometimes you may have to talk to the friend to have the friend talk to them.
Wisdom.
Just little jewels like that. You gotta watch out for and stay away from your single friends. Don't cut them off. But when you go to advice, don't go to the single friend.
Makes sense.
Or don't go to the single friend that's not in a good. Don't even go to the married friend that's not in a good place.
Nobody
When you
bitter.
go to somebody that's in a good space. That's who you got to get advice from. But before you go to anybody, go to your spouse. Try to work it out with them first, because that should be your best friend.
I
got
love
a few
it.
more.
I love it.
Let's
Well,
see
we
what
want to
that-
hear it. One thing I heard a counselor say before, I went to a marriage retreat. I asked the lady, I said, why are you taking me to a marriage retreat? I'm not married. But she said, how could you possess what you don't pursue? And I heard the person say that when him and his wife were having it out one day, he said, what I heard her say and what she said was two different things.
Jesus.
She's like, I said this. And he said, this is not what I heard. I heard you say. So even with your children, even people don't always, all of us deal with things based on our experiences, what we've been through, what we've seen. So now you have two people coming together, and your experiences are different. And so I think people just have to take the time. And I heard you say something when you were speaking earlier. You said going to a counselor taught you how to listen.
Listen, yeah.
Listen. And that's very important. So
Yeah, because a lot of times, like, you'll say something, and I'll see her right, when I know she's mad, her right leg starts shaking, like she got to pee or something. So when the leg's shaking, I'm talking, she's not even listening to me. She's just waiting for me to finish so she can say what she got to say. So it definitely taught me to listen. And I think once you listen, and I know personally, I try to hold myself accountable for things. I'm not perfect with it. Like, okay, what did I do wrong? But this one, have you ever been wrong?
nope, queens are never wrong.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem.
Thank you.
No,
What have you ever been wrong?
We're not gonna go there, okay? We're not
that's for
gonna go
another
there.
episode.
Right, because you're trying to bait me right now.
So this
and it
advice,
won't
they're
happen.
never wrong. They are never wrong. So pick your battles. Sometimes you have to lose the battle to win the war.
Oh, happy wife, happy life, brother.
No. We do happy.
Happy wife, happy
We do
life.
happy house, happy spouse.
Oh, I
That's-
like that.
That's
that
one of our
makes
shirts.
sense.
That's
Very
one of our
good.
shirts.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
one of your
'cause
shirts?
Yeah. Because
I gotta get that.
if one is happy,
That doesn't mean the other one is happy.
yeah.
You could be in the same relationship and have two different outlooks on what's happening in this relationship. So,
And I love that you spoke about prayer, because prayer changes things.
yes.
And it's very important. And, I'm sure you guys know, for a couple to pray together. And people say a couple that prays together stays together. It doesn't mean they're not going to have troubles. Doesn't mean that they're not going to have problems. Because problems it's a part of the world that we live in. All the characters in the Bible, they went through it. So who are we to think that we won't go through it? But I've married over 350 couples when I worked for y'all call it the Justice of the Peace in New York. But in Florida, they call it the Clerk of the Court. And I used to marry couples, and it was so interesting to watch the couples come in, and those that were all in love, and then those they were distant. And I'm like, why are these people even getting married? Like, I didn't see the connection, But people get married for different reasons, and I've learned now. I used to think that it was all about love when I was younger, and your husband said something, and I get it. It's not pushing the love aside, but it is a business. It's a business. But when I first heard that, it hurt me.
Because
Because
it sounds harsh.
because it sounds very harsh.
She wasn't on board with
And
that.
listen, when I was in love with somebody, and they say they were in love with me, and they told me, they were gonna get married, but it wasn't about love, and it crushed me because I said, what? Like, what are you telling me? But then a girlfriend at work, she said her significant other said to her, this is a business, and I'm like, what has this new age done to us? Because we were taught, I love you, you love me. we're gonna have a happy relationship, but it is much more than love, because at the end of the day, when I'm not feeling so loving to you, things still have to get done around the house. So I get it, but I still think that there should be a connection and there should be some type of attraction, because otherwise it can't just be business.
Right.
Because then business can't hold you tight at night.
Right.
You know what I say? Business is not going to attract you to want to reach over in the bed and rub her back. You get what I'm saying? And that's what calls for sneaking out or having affairs or calling other people to fulfill the needs. That's not. So I believe that all those needs need to be met, as much as possible. So
See, like with me, I don't focus on it's a business, but let's say we're not in a good space.
right.
And sometimes you think like, damn, is this it? The business comes. Hey, babe, I'm sorry.
Listen, whatever it takes.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Whatever it takes.
It's real. You don't have to think about it, but it is when it's not going right. That's when the business kicks in, and you got your ego, and you got just thinking logical, emotions and illogical. And I usually think logical for the most part, and I'm like, it's just not worth it. And we've been through so much early. I think we got battle tested so early.
Yes.
And even now we get battle tested.
Right.
It's like, damn, we still here. So we here for real. I ain't going nowhere.
You can't go anywhere. And I realized too that you said you've been battle tested. So the great thing is every time something else comes up, it's like, oh, we already did that before. I know how to handle that. That's nothing.
Yeah.
And the main thing you said is you have to think about, is it worth it?
Is it
Whatever
worth
it
it?
is. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be infidelity. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
So
Even if I want to curse her out, not calling out her name, but curse her, is it worth it?
yeah.
I don't like to say sorry. I don't want to say anything I gotta apologize for later.
You heard that, right?
But here's the thing: I don't say anything that I have to apologize. Did you hear that part? What I said?
But
But you're not listening. Your right leg, her right leg must have been shaking.
My
Didn't get
right
her
leg is definitely shaking.
Didn't get it.
Thank you so much for joining the Leslie T. Marshall Experience as we had two beautiful couples that spoke on love and their relationship. We all have different experiences when it comes to love, but one thing about love, when it's real, you will know it. God bless you. God loves you, and so do I.